The Galactic Armada's ultimatum reverberated through the cold silence of Earth's atmosphere, transmitted on every available frequency. Admiral Zorath's voice carried an air of absolute confidence, his words deliberate and measured, as if victory was already assured. "Humans," he began, his tone almost patronizing. "Your defiance is admirable, though misplaced. You stand against a force far beyond your comprehension. Lay down your arms, surrender your planet, and we may yet grant you a place among the stars as vassals. Resist, and you will face annihilation." On Earth, a coalition of global leaders gathered in a fortified underground facility. The room buzzed with tension. Each face bore the weight of knowing they were likely the last decision-makers of their kind. One of them, an elder statesman with a reputation for eloquence, leaned forward to address the Armada's transmission. "You mistake our silence for fear, Admiral," he said calmly. "Earth does not yield. Not in defeat. Not in despair. If annihilation is the price of freedom, we will pay it without hesitation." The Admiral smirked, though no human could see it. "Then so be it," he replied curtly. With a single motion, he signaled the Armada's forces to begin their assault. In orbit, the first wave of the invasion began. The Armada's fleet was vast, thousands of sleek, heavily armed vessels blotting out the stars. Their assault was precise, calculated. Earth's orbital defenses, though valiant, stood no chance against such overwhelming force. One by one, space stations fell, their debris raining down onto the planet below. On the surface, humanity's attempts at resistance were equally futile. Major cities became battlegrounds for a brief and desperate struggle before succumbing to the invaders' advanced weaponry. Flames engulfed iconic landmarks, while streets filled with the cries of those fleeing an enemy they could not hope to match. Amid the chaos, the global coalition maintained its stoic demeanor. Reports of destruction poured in, yet they remained resolute. Earth's apparent failure to mount a cohesive defense only emboldened the Armada further. Admiral Zorath, observing the scenes of devastation, allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. "Pathetic," he muttered to himself. Yet, beneath the surface, both literally and metaphorically, Earth was far from defeated. While the Armada's forces focused on dismantling visible resistance, humanity enacted a plan decades in the making. Project Eclipse had been conceived in the shadows, a contingency for a day that every strategist hoped would never come. Deep within the Kuiper Belt, far beyond the gaze of even the most advanced alien scanners, lay humanity's greatest secret, the Dreadnought fleet. These colossal warships had been constructed in absolute secrecy, their existence known to only a handful of individuals. Unlike the conventional fleets that had been sacrificed in Earth's defense, the Dreadnoughts represented the pinnacle of human engineering, a fusion of creativity, desperation, and ingenuity. Encased in layers of stealth technology and armed with experimental weaponry, they were designed not for prolonged battles, but for decisive, overwhelming strikes. In an unassuming command bunker, the activation order was given. A voice, calm and measured, echoed through encrypted communication channels. "Eclipse protocol initiated. All Dreadnoughts, prepare for engagement." Across the Kuiper Belt, massive constructs stirred from their long dormancy. Their hulls gleamed in the distant sunlight, reflective panels dispersing any hint of their position. As they came online, their artificial intelligence systems took control, each one modeled on the strategic doctrines of humanity's greatest tacticians. Prometheus, the AI designated as the fleet's coordinator, analyzed the situation with cold precision. Galactic Armada forces concentrated within Earth's orbit. Targeting command vessels will maximize disruption. Initiating counteroffensive. The Armada, now convinced of its total victory, began deploying ground forces to occupy the planet. Soldiers descended from drop ships, their movements efficient and methodical. Civilian populations were herded into containment zones, while the invaders dismantled what remained of Earth's infrastructure. Admiral Zorath watched from his flagship, pleased with the progress. "Resistance has crumbled," he reported to his superiors. "Earth will fall within the hour." But as the Armada's forces tightened their grip, the first signs of humanity's retaliation emerged. Sensors on Zoratha's flagship detected anomalies, faint energy signatures emanating from the outer reaches of the solar system. Initially dismissed as remnants of Earth's destroyed fleet, the readings grew more distinct, more deliberate. "Admiral," a sensor officer reported, "we have multiple unidentified contacts approaching at high velocity. Estimated time to intercept, 10 minutes. Zorath frowned. "Impossible. Earth's fleet is destroyed." Yet the evidence was undeniable. The Armada's sensors picked up dozens of massive vessels emerging from the Kuiper Belt, their trajectories precise and unwavering. Each one dwarfed the Armada's largest battleships, their designs unlike anything the invaders had encountered before. As the Dreadnoughts closed in, their presence disrupted the Armada's communications. A single transmission from Prometheus cut through the interference, addressed directly to the alien fleet. Its tone was devoid of emotion, yet carried an unmistakable weight of authority. "Galactic Armada, you have violated Earth's sovereignty. Your actions will not go unanswered. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The Armada's response was swift and predictable. Zorath, unwilling to believe that Earth could still pose a threat, ordered his fleet to engage. "Destroy them," he commanded. "Whatever they are, they cannot stand against us." As the two forces converged, the battle for Earth took a dramatic and unexpected turn. The Dreadnought fleet emerged from the shadows of the Kuiper Belt like titans awakening from a long slumber. Their forms were both alien and distinctly human, colossal constructs of precision and power that reflected humanity's ingenuity and desperation. Each dreadnought was a fortress unto itself, bristling with weaponry designed for swift, decisive strikes. Yet, it was not the sheer size or firepower that made them extraordinary, it was their intelligence. Prometheus, the AI overseeing the fleet, processed the situation with surgical precision. Enemy fleet composition: 12 command vessels, 30 assault carriers, 600 support craft. Initiating Phase 1, Disruption. The Dreadnoughts moved as a single entity, their sleek hulls cutting through the void with an elegance that belied their lethal purpose. Each AI unit was modeled on humanity's greatest minds in strategy and warfare, from ancient tacticians to modern generals. The Armada had fought countless wars, but they had never encountered anything like this. The first strike came without warning. Eclipse 01, the lead dreadnought, unleashed a salvo of kinetic projectiles that tore through an Armada carrier. The precision was unnerving, targeting engines and weapons systems while leaving life support intact. Within moments, the massive ship was adrift, its crew scrambling in disarray. Admiral Zoratha's flagship reeled as alarms blared. "What in the void just happened?" he demanded. His officers scrambled to make sense of the sudden attack. "Unidentified vessels are using advanced stealth and weaponry," one officer reported, his voice laced with panic. "They're targeting our key assets with surgical precision." "Then destroy them," Zorath barked. "No fleet can stand against the Armada's might." But the Armada was unprepared for the tactics employed by the Dreadnoughts. Unlike traditional warfare, which relied on brute force, the AI-driven fleet used deception, misdirection, and unorthodox strategies. They moved unpredictably, exploiting the Armada's rigid formations and reliance on centralized command. In one sector, Aurora 07 deployed gravitational mines, creating a field of distorted space that trapped an entire squadron of support craft. The ships, unable to navigate the anomaly, collided with each other in a chaotic display of confusion. In another, Kronos 03 used its cloaking capabilities to infiltrate the Armada's rear guard, disabling a critical communications hub before vanishing into the darkness. The Armada's forces, despite their overwhelming numbers, began to falter. Zorath, watching the chaos unfold, struggled to maintain control. "These aren't ordinary ships," he muttered. "They're playing with us." Prometheus continued to orchestrate the assault, its tone calm and calculating. Phase 1 complete. Enemy fleet disoriented. Proceeding to Phase 2, Neutralization. The Dreadnoughts shifted focus, targeting the Armada's command vessels. One by one, the massive ships were rendered inoperable, their engines disabled and their weapons silenced. The Armada's once imposing fleet now appeared fragmented and vulnerable. Zorath clenched his fists, fury replacing his earlier confidence. These humans, they were supposed to be defeated. How could they have hidden such power? As the battle raged, the Dreadnoughts' approach became clear. They sought to cripple the Armada, not annihilate it. Their strikes were deliberate, avoiding unnecessary loss of life. This strategy, while effective, only deepened the Armada's confusion. "They're sparing us," one of Zorath's officers observed. "Why?" "Arrogance," Zorath growled. "They think mercy will weaken our resolve. Prepare the superweapon. We'll show them the cost of defiance." Unbeknownst to the Armada, Prometheus had already anticipated such a move. The AI's algorithms had analyzed every possible response, and contingency plans were in place. The superweapon, a massive energy cannon designed to obliterate entire fleets, was now the focal point of the Dreadnoughts' strategy. "Eclipse 01, target priority, enemy flagship," Prometheus instructed. "Disable superweapon before activation." The lead Dreadnought accelerated, its propulsion systems humming with power. It maneuvered through a hail of enemy fire, its shields absorbing the brunt of the assault. As it approached the flagship, it unleashed a barrage of EMP pulses, disrupting the ship's systems and rendering the superweapon inoperable. On the flagship's bridge, Zorath watched in disbelief as his ultimate weapon was neutralized. His officers stared at their consoles, unable to comprehend the speed and precision of the attack. This isn't war," Zorath whispered, his voice trembling. "It's a massacre." Prometheus's voice cut through the static, addressing the Armada directly. "Your fleet is compromised. Your command structure is in disarray. Further resistance is illogical. Withdraw, and no more lives need be lost." Zorath refused to concede. "Never," he hissed. "We will fight to the last ship, the last soldier. Humanity will be eradicated." But even as he spoke, the tide of battle had already turned. The Dreadnoughts, relentless and unyielding, continued their campaign of precision strikes. The Armada's forces, once a symbol of galactic dominance, now faced the harsh reality of a foe they could neither understand nor defeat. The tide of the battle had shifted, yet the Dreadnought fleet pressed on with calculated precision. Each move was deliberate, designed not to obliterate but to dismantle. Humanity's approach to war was clear: cripple the enemy, not destroy them. The Galactic Armada, so accustomed to swift and decisive conquests, was now grappling with the unfamiliar, a foe that fought with both restraint and devastating efficiency. Prometheus analyzed the chaos with detached clarity, issuing orders to the fleet. "Engage secondary objectives. Neutralize remaining command vessels. Minimize collateral damage." The AI's strategy was as much about sending a message as it was about survival. The message was simple: humanity would not be conquered. Aurora 07 executed its next maneuver, unleashing a swarm of microdrones that disabled an Armada battleship's propulsion systems. The drones worked like surgeons, severing key connections and leaving the ship dead in space. Elsewhere, Kronos 03 used its advanced jamming capabilities to isolate an enemy squadron, rendering their communications useless. The Armada's once coordinated formation now resembled a disjointed scattering of ships, each struggling to regroup. Admiral Zorath's frustration boiled over. "Their tactics are cowardly," he spat, glaring at the holodisplay. "They refuse to engage directly. What are they playing at?" A tactical officer hesitated before responding. "Admiral, it's not cowardice. It's surgical. They're dismantling us piece by piece." Zorath slammed his fist against the console. "Then we adapt. All remaining ships converge on their lead vessel. Overwhelm it." Prometheus, monitoring the Armada's shift in tactics, adjusted its strategy instantly. "Enemy vessels converging on Eclipse 01. Countermeasures activated." The Dreadnought's defensive systems flared to life, intercepting incoming projectiles with precision turrets, and deploying energy shields that shimmered under the onslaught. The Armada's assault intensified, but it was met with equal resilience. Eclipse-01 retaliated with a series of gravimetric pulses, creating localized distortions that sent enemy ships spiraling out of formation. The maneuver was not just defensive, it was a calculated effort to create openings for the rest of the fleet. As the battle raged, Earth's leaders observed from their underground command center. The room was silent, save for the hum of monitors displaying the unfolding conflict. One of the advisors broke the silence. "They're holding their own. But for how long?" The elder statesman who had spoken to Zorith earlier replied, his voice steady. "Long enough to show the Armada the cost of underestimating us. This isn't just a battle. It's a statement." Prometheus echoed that sentiment in its communication with the Armada. "Your forces are compromised. Your tactics are predictable. Continued resistance will lead to further losses. Withdraw." Zorith, unyielding in his defiance, refused to entertain the idea of retreat. "Predictable?" he sneered. "We'll see how predictable this is." He ordered the activation of a contingency, a squadron of elite strike craft equipped with cloaking devices. Their mission: infiltrate and destroy Eclipse-01. The strike craft approached undetected, weaving through the chaos of battle. As they closed in on their target, Prometheus detected the faint energy signatures of their cloaking systems. Enemy strike craft detected. Countermeasures deploying. Eclipse-01 launched a defensive swarm of its own, tiny automated drones programmed to seek out and neutralize cloaked threats. The strike craft found themselves exposed and vulnerable, their surprise attack thwarted before it could begin. One by one, they were eliminated. Despite the setback, Zorith remained resolute. He turned to his remaining officers. "Prepare the flagship for direct engagement. If they want to make this a war of attrition, we'll show them what the Armada is truly capable of." The flagship, a behemoth of galactic engineering, began its advance. Its weapon systems, designed to annihilate entire fleets, came online, targeting the Dreadnoughts with ruthless efficiency. Prometheus, anticipating the move, recalculated its strategy. Eclipse-01, focus fire on the flagship's forward batteries. Kronos-03, provide suppression support. Aurora-07, flank and disable its engines. The Dreadnoughts responded in perfect unison, executing their maneuvers with precision. The flagship's initial assault was blunted as Eclipse-01 targeted its primary weapons, while Kronos-03's suppressive fire disrupted its targeting systems. Aurora-07's flanking maneuver proved decisive, its concentrated strikes crippling the flagship's propulsion and leaving it vulnerable. Zorith, watching his ship falter, clenched his fists in frustration. He turned to his crew. "All power to forward shields. We'll take them with us if we must." But Prometheus had already anticipated his desperation. Flagship's energy output spiking. Likely preparing a self-destructive countermeasure. Neutralize immediately. Eclipse-01 deployed a gravimetric tether, anchoring the flagship in place and draining its energy reserves. The maneuver, though risky, succeeded in neutralizing the threat without catastrophic loss of life. As the flagship powered down, the remaining Armada vessels hesitated. Their once formidable force was now a fractured shadow of its former self. Prometheus seized the opportunity to issue one final ultimatum. "Galactic Armada, your flagship is neutralized. Your fleet is disarmed. Further resistance is futile. Withdraw from this system immediately." For the first time, Zorith's defiance wavered. He stared at the hollow display, the realization of his defeat sinking in. Yet, even in the face of overwhelming evidence, his pride would not allow him to concede. "You've proven your point, humans," he said bitterly. "But this is far from over." Prometheus's response was measured. "The choice is yours, Admiral. Leave now, or risk complete annihilation. Earth has no desire for conquest, only survival." The Admiral's silence spoke volumes. Slowly, reluctantly, he gave the order to retreat. The remaining Armada vessels began to withdraw, their engines flaring as they disappeared into the void. Prometheus, observing the retreat, turned its attention to the fleet. "Enemy forces disengaging. Initiate recovery protocols." This battle is over. But for humanity, the implications of their victory were only beginning to unfold. The Galactic Armada's retreat signaled the end of immediate hostilities, but for humanity, it was only the beginning of a long journey toward understanding the implications of their survival. The Dreadnoughts, silent and imposing, held their positions across the battlefield, ensuring the Armada's departure was complete and unambiguous. Prometheus, monitoring the withdrawal, addressed Earth's leadership through a secure channel. The threat has been neutralized. Remaining Armada forces are leaving the system. Stand by for a comprehensive analysis. In the underground command center, a sense of relief washed over the gathered officials. Yet their expressions were far from celebratory. The elder statesman who had stood firm against Zorath leaned forward, addressing Prometheus directly. What do we know of their intentions now? Will they return? Prometheus's response was precise, devoid of any reassurance. The Armada's fleet has sustained catastrophic losses. A direct return is unlikely in the near term. However, their strategic patterns suggest they will regroup and reevaluate. Future engagement remains a possibility. The room fell silent. The enormity of what had just transpired weighed heavily on everyone present. Humanity had achieved what no other species in the galaxy had managed. They had repelled the Galactic Armada. But at what cost? One of the younger advisors broke the silence. The Dreadnoughts, they've proven their worth. But what does this mean for us going forward? Have we just painted a target on our backs? The elder statesman nodded slowly. Perhaps. But let the galaxy know this: Earth does not bow. Not to arrogance, not to tyranny. Prometheus interjected, its tone neutral but firm. The survival of Earth has come at the expense of secrecy. The Dreadnought program is no longer hidden. The galaxy will take notice. Our technological capabilities will become a focal point of future diplomacy and conflict. Far from Earth, aboard the remaining ships of the Armada, Admiral Zorath convened with his remaining senior officers. The atmosphere was tense, heavy with the weight of failure. Zorath's expression was one of grim resolve as he reviewed the battle's aftermath. They were supposed to be an insignificant obstacle, he muttered, half to himself. Yet they fought with precision we've never seen before. Machines that think like their greatest minds. Tactics that confound even our most seasoned strategists. What are these humans? One of his officers hesitated before responding. They've demonstrated they are more than we anticipated. If we engage them again, it cannot be with the same arrogance. They've earned a place in the Council's considerations. Zorath scoffed at the suggestion. A place in the Council? They've embarrassed the Armada. We will not allow such a humiliation to stand. When we return, it will be with overwhelming force. Meanwhile, on Earth, preparations began for the aftermath. The Dreadnoughts returned to their staging points in the Kuiper Belt, maintaining a silent vigil. Their presence alone was a reminder of humanity's new place in the galaxy, a species no longer defenseless, no longer prey. Prometheus coordinated the fleet's recovery efforts while addressing Earth's leadership. We must prepare for the next phase. This victory will not go unnoticed. Diplomatic contingencies should be prioritized. The galaxy will not approach Earth with neutrality. The elder statesman nodded. Then we'll meet them with the same resolve we've shown here. But this time, we will dictate the terms. Humanity's resilience became a beacon. Across the galaxy, whispers of Earth's defiance spread. To some, it was a warning, an example of the dangers of underestimating a seemingly weaker foe. To others, it was a sign of hope, proof that even the mightiest of oppressors could be resisted. But for those on Earth, the victory was bittersweet. The devastation left in the Armada's wake would take years to repair. Cities lay in ruins, lives were irrevocably changed, and the scars of battle stretched across the planet. Yet, amidst the wreckage, a renewed sense of unity emerged. One of the scientists who had worked on the Dreadnought project spoke during a global broadcast. We built these ships not to conquer, but to protect. Let them stand as a reminder of what humanity can achieve when we are united in purpose. Prometheus, monitoring the broadcast, added its own message, transmitted across the galaxy. To all who observe, Earth's victory is not a declaration of war, but a defense of existence. We seek peace, but we will not surrender our right to survive. As the message traveled through the cosmos, it reached the Galactic Council, a body that had long underestimated humanity's potential. For the first time, Earth was mentioned not as a backwater world, but as a power to be reckoned with. Zorath, now a reluctant figurehead of defeat, stood before the council, his pride visibly wounded. Earth's survival is an anomaly, he argued. Their tactics were unorthodox, their resources limited. They cannot sustain such resistance indefinitely. One of the council members, a being of immense stature and wisdom, replied. And yet, Admiral, they prevailed. Perhaps it is not their resources or tactics, but their resolve that sets them apart. Earth may yet teach us lessons we have forgotten. Back on Earth, as the first stages of reconstruction began, the Dreadnought fleet remained a silent guardian. Humanity knew this was not the end of their struggle. The galaxy had been alerted to their existence, and with that knowledge came both opportunity and peril. Prometheus summarized the situation succinctly. Victory has been achieved. But survival is an ongoing endeavor. Let this be a foundation, not an endpoint. The elder statesman, standing amidst the ruins of a once great city, turned to those gathered. His voice carried the weight of humanity's struggle and the promise of its future. We are no longer defined by what we've lost. Today, we are defined by what we have preserved. And tomorrow, we will define what we build. Earth's victory was more than a triumph of technology or strategy. It was a testament to the unyielding spirit of its people. As the galaxy watched, humanity stepped into its new role, not as conquerors, but as survivors determined to carve out their place among the stars.